The 50-year mortgage is getting tossed around as a new product and service that might be coming out for mortgages. Um, this is interesting because I bet you a lot of people don't even realize that the 40-year mortgage exists. And it doesn't exist for anybody to buy a house. It only exists for people that right now are behind on their mortgage, where a loan modification would be a product or a service to help a homeowner essentially restructure their debt. So I think this is very, very interesting and concerning that this is happening so quick. We, I've had the 30-year mortgage in place for quite some time. Let me see exactly how long. I don't even know off the top of my head, but 30-year mortgage has been in place for a minute. I'll look this up on while we go live here. But to go this quick from like the normal was a 30-year mortgage to then like, hey, we're going to introduce the 40-year mortgage, and within 3 years, the 50-year mortgage, I think it was like 1978, has the 30-year mortgage been in place? Let's see, what year? The standard was 1948. Wow. And then for existing homes, 1954. So this has been along for, quite some time. 60, 70 years. Okay, I thought it was like the 70s, so I would have been wrong. So that's concerning to have that big of a change. Like, we've been down this path, and change is good, but when you have change so quick in this nature on our financial system, not good. Again, like the 30-year mortgage has been in place on existing homes since 1954. So now all of a sudden we introduce this 40-year mortgage that really is under the rug. I don't think a lot of people really understand that. That's been out there, and it's not a product or service you can go buy a house that I'm aware of with that 40-year mortgage, but they will do it, especially for veterans, on loan modification products. Now we're going to go to a 50-year mortgage to paint you a picture, because this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well. The difference in principal and interest, for example, on a 30-year mortgage, let's just say at $400,000 at 6% is $23.98. On a 50-year note, it would be $21.05. So roughly 200 and whatever, $80 difference. Okay, to put in perspective, if you did that 50-year note and 30 years down the road, you looked at your amortization schedule as to how much principal is left on that $400,000 property you've been paying 30 years on, you would still have a balance of $292 left. That's not good. Now, there's a few things to factor in when you're making costs like this lower. This definitely will help boost up prices in general if you're able to allow this, and especially too, the criteria now for underwriting, you do not need a minimum credit score. We've seen this story before. This is concerning on a lot of levels. I understand they're trying to do what they can to make affordability reasonable in America, but this is like you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole type of product and service, in my opinion. Number one, too, I don't think it'll ever happen, but God forbid if rates ever went down to the 3% range again, and you're able to lock in debt at 50 years at 3%, that's the next asset class. Right now, we're putting $1 trillion in debt into our system every 60, 90 days. 60, 90 days, $1 trillion. By offering products and services that, again, you're just betting against our future to these levels of debt that are becoming unsustainable is a nightmare. The fastest way to make affordable housing is to have town zonings be more favorable and stop putting so much damn red tape on the product and service of building. It's too much nonsense. And all that happens is that holding cost gets passed along to the consumer. It happens in California and New York, the biggest, because they take the longest to build. You can't just buy a piece of land and start digging like you can in Austin. And they complain left and right that, oh, the housing costs are too high, when in fact it's their own cause. It's their own makings when they put so much red tape on essentially trying to utilize your land, right? It's not really your land, and you rent it from the government. And now we're going to offer a product and service for you to be stuck in a home with debt for 50 years. When I say stuck in a home, like, a house isn't liquid. And I think we were built this, how would I say, this perception of a dream that home ownership is the American dream. I don't think it is. Can you make money on your residential house? Yes. But I can tell you, like, for most areas in particular, especially if you're not, buying this as an investment, you're not buying this as a, I guess, under market type of deal. You're not going to make money, and you're better off, to be honest, like, putting your money into something. Even the S&P 500 will probably return you more money than your real estate, and the charts show it, right? Especially if it's your primary house. Like, I think people are going towards more of a rent versus own model, not rent to own, but renting more than owning. You have flexibility, you have freedom, and you're not locked into something where, again, real estate is not very liquid. It's liquid enough when the market is hot. When it's cool, it is stale. This is going to be very, very interesting. I don't see this being a reasonable solution to fixing affordability in housing. It's a temporary fix. It's putting a sub pump in the basement when there's water in there. But at the end of the day, you have to do work on the foundation as a whole. You have to do work on the structure as a whole, not just throwing the sub pump in there to try to temporarily help with how unaffordable things are, right? Prices are still high. Real estate's still pretty much grooving. Some areas not as good, but prices are still high. Inflation's still high, and you can't believe the numbers that they put out because they're not true. So, they just pick and choose the basket of goods that they want to portray for inflation. The extension of this debt, what I'm getting at is, it's going to not play out well, because what's going to happen is, in the event, and I just said, like, I'm not sure it's going to happen, but I think they'll have one more time where, again, a reset will happen, whenever that does. And you're going to see low rates like that one more time. And when you're able to lock in that kind of debt over that kind of duration, it's going to get ugly. We've been living off cheap debt for so long that we as a society, I don't think, are ready to handle 6-7% mortgages as the normal. We haven't had that for years. I don't know what society would look like if we have a 1980s type of decade where we have double-digit mortgage rates. And if you just keep making this amortization schedule lower, at some point you're going to hit a breaking point where you're going to be in that '08 crisis moment where either you let the thing fail, which they won't, or you print a ton of money, which they will. And when that happens, the rates are going to go, and then you're going to have to eventually bleed out the system through high rates, woof, or you need a reset. You need an '08. It's my TED Talk. It's my 10 minutes Devine update. Let's go.